Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Venezuela's Supreme Court orders Vice President Delcy Rodriguez become interim president after Nicolas Maduro, wife captured by US. India expresses concern over recent development in Venezuela, calls upon all concerned to address issues peacefully through dialogue to ensure peace and stability of the region. Myanmar's junta government released over 6,000 prisoners as part of an annual amnesty to mark the country's Independence Day. 52 foreign prisoners also released. Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually inaugurates 72nd edition of National Volleyball Tournament in Varanasi, says sports reforms like National Sports Governance Act and Khelo Bharat Policy 2025 are transforming the sports ecosystem in India. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who was captured by US forces on Saturday, is currently being held at a New York jail to face trial for drug trafficking charges. The White House posted video on social media platform X of Maduro handcuffed, escorted by federal agents through a US Drug Enforcement Administration facility in New York. Maduro, who was indicted on various US charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy, is expected to make an initial appearance in Manhattan Federal Court on Monday. Earlier on Saturday, the US launched a wide-scale air, land and sea military attack on Venezuela involving at least 150 aircrafts. Maduro and his wife were captured and flown out of the country. And Venezuela's Supreme Court ordered that Vice President Delcy Rodriguez will assume the role of acting president of the country in absence of Nicolas Maduro. The ruling added that the court will debate the matter in order to determine the applicable legal framework to guarantee the continuity of the state, the administration of government and the defense of sovereignty in the face of forced absence of the President of the Republic. Meanwhile, Rodriguez, in a live address, insisted that the government was ready to defend the natural resources of the country. Her comments came after US President Donald Trump said Washington intends to run the Caribbean nation and tap its huge oil reserves. Now let's take a look at how US captured Venezuelan President Maduro. Donald Trump gives the mission the go-ahead on Friday. US bombed Venezuela on Saturday. First explosions heard in capital Caracas and surrounding areas early morning. 150 aircraft launched towards Venezuela from 20 different US bases. Special US forces approached Maduro's compound in Caracas. US forces captured Maduro's wife. Operation concludes with Maduro's capture. Maduro and his wife embarked on the USS Iwo Jima. Maduro taken to Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn to face drug trafficking related charges. India has expressed concerns over the recent development in Venezuela and said it is closely monitoring the evolving situation there. India's External Affairs Ministry, in a statement, said the recent developments in Venezuela are a matter of deep concern. The statement further reads that India affirms its support to the well-being and safety of the people of Venezuela and called upon all concerned to address issues peacefully through dialogue, ensuring peace and stability of the region. The Embassy of India in Caracas is in contact with members of the Indian community and will continue to provide all possible assistance. India also urged its nationals to avoid all non-essential travel to Venezuela after US troops captured the South American country's President Nicolas Maduro and took them to the US following a military assault on Caracas. As per the advisory, all Indians currently in Venezuela were advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and remain in contact. with the Indian Embassy in Caracas through the email ID or the emergency phone numbers. The world leaders also reacted to US strikes on Venezuela, capturing Maduro on Saturday. French President Emmanuel Macron praised the US removal of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and said that the transition must be peaceful, democratic and respectful of the will of its people. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz calls legal assessment of US strikes on Venezuela complex. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praises Trump for capturing Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, salutes his decisive resolve and the brilliant action of brave soldiers. While China criticized interference of US in Venezuela crisis, according to Chinese Foreign Ministry statement, China is deeply shocked and strongly condemns the use of force by the US against a sovereign country and the use of force against the president of a country. Russia also condemns US strikes against Venezuela and calls for peace and resolution through dialogue. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has refused to be drawn on whether or not US President Trump's military action against Venezuela may have broken international law. The United Nations on Saturday expressed deep alarm over the United States military action in Venezuela, warning it sets a dangerous precedent. The UN Secretary General said the escalation raises serious concerns for regional stability and stressed that international law and the UN Charter must be fully respected, urging on Venezuelan actors to pursue inclusive dialogue in line with human rights and the rule of law. The European Union also urged restraint, with Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas saying the bloc is closely monitoring the situation and reiterating that international law must be respected. The United Nations Security Council is due to meet on Monday after the US attacked Venezuela and deposed its long-serving president Nicolas Maduro. The UN Security Council has met twice in October and December over the escalating tensions between the United States and Venezuela. From bus driver to president, Nicolas Maduro's journey reflects the complexities of Venezuela's modern history. A close ally of Hugo Chavez, he rose through union activism and foreign diplomacy before assuming the nation's highest office. His tenure has faced economic challenges, mass migration, and criticism from human rights groups. Following a recent US strike on Caracas, Maduro's capture has drawn global attention, raising concerns over regional stability and energy markets. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings this report.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro rose from humble beginnings in Caracas to the center of geopolitical storm. His journey reflects both loyalty to Hugo Chavez, socialist vision, and the turbulence of Venezuela's modern history. Maduro was born in 1962 in a working-class leftist family in Caracas. Influenced by his father, a trade union leader, he entered labor activism early. In the 1980s, he worked as a bus driver while organizing transport unions. His political training in Cuba and support for Hugo Chavez's failed 1992 coup cemented his role in the Bolivarian movement. By 1999, Maduro was elected to the National Constituent Assembly, where he contributed in drafting Venezuela's new constitution. He later secured a seat in the National Assembly, rising to Speaker in 2005. From 2006 to 2013, he served as Foreign Minister, strengthening ties with Russia, China and Iran. In December 2012, Chavez, battling cancer, publicly endorsed Maduro as his successor. Following Chavez's death in March 2013, Maduro was sworn in as interim president. He narrowly won the April election against Enrique Capriles, sparking demands for a recount. His presidency has since been marked by economic collapse, hyperinflation, food and medicine shortages, and mass migration. While critics blame corruption and mismanagement, Maduro insists US sanctions and economic warfare are responsible. Maduro secured re-election in 2018 amid allegations of fraud and in 2024 claimed victory in another disputed vote. Beginning a third term in January 2025, human rights groups accuse his government of repression, including arbitrary detentions and violations of civil liberties. The US-Venezuela conflict escalated sharply in 2025. Washington seized Venezuelan government assets, struck boats accused of narcotics trafficking, and designated Maduro's circle as a terrorist organization. Maduro responded with warnings of declaring a state of emergency and claims of advanced Russian-made air defenses. On January 3, 2026, US President Donald Trump announced a dramatic military strike on Caracas. According to Washington, Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were captured and flown out of Venezuela. The move has triggered global shockwaves, with regional leaders warning of destabilization in Latin America and OPEC raising concerns about oil market volatility. Maduro's rule has seen Venezuela's oil output plummet, once the backbone of its economy. However, Maduro maintained military loyalty and alliances with Russia, Iran and Cuba until the latest US strike shifted the balance. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Tech billionaire Elon Musk on Sunday expressed support for the people of Venezuela as SpaceX-owned Starlink announced it was providing free broadband internet services in the country for a limited period as Venezuela remains gripped by fast-moving political developments. Sharing a post on X, the company wrote, Starlink is providing free broadband services to people of Venezuela through February 3rd, ensuring continued connectivity. Musk wrote in support of the people of Venezuela while reposting a message from Starlink outlining the initiative. North Korea has fired a ballistic missile towards the sea off its east coast, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement on Sunday. According to Japan's Ministry of Defense, the missile is believed to have already fallen. The last time Pyongyang tested its ballistic missile was in November. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for more than double the production capacity of tactical guided weapons on his latest visit to a munitions factory. The first launch of North Korea's ballistic missiles in 2 months comes as South Korean President Lee Jae-myung left for China on Sunday for a state visit, where Seoul has said peace on the Korean peninsula would be discussed. In recent weeks, Kim has made a series of visits to factories that build weapons, as well as to a nuclear-powered submarine, and has overseen missile tests ahead of next year's 9th Party Congress of the Workers' Party, convened to set out major policy goals. Japan's defense ministry has meanwhile said it had lodged a stern protest and strongly condemned a report launch of several ballistic missiles by North Korea towards the sea off its east coast.
Such ballistic missile launches violate relevant UN security resolution and constitute a serious issue concerning the safety of our citizens. Japan has lodged a stern protest and strongly condemned North Korea missile launch through the embassy route in Beijing. The Ministry of Defense will continue to work closely with United States, South Korea and other parties to protect the life and properties of our people by dedicating all effort to information gathering, analysis and vigilance.
Britain's and France's air forces conducted a joint operation on Saturday evening to bomb a suspected underground arms cache previously used by the Islamic State group in Syria. British Defence Secretary John Healey described the strike on Saturday as part of ongoing efforts to prevent Daesh from rebuilding its capabilities and spreading what he called its dangerous and violent ideologies. Western aircraft have been conducting patrols to stop a resurgence of the Islamist militant group that ruled parts of Syria until 2019. Britain said intelligence analysis identified an underground facility believed to be used to store weapons and explosives in mountains north of Palmyra. Britain said the area was devoid of any civilian habitation before the attack and that all its aircraft had returned safely. Britain said it used Typhoon FGR-4 combat jets to bomb the target, supported by a Voyager refueling tanker. Hundreds of prisoners walked free in Myanmar on Sunday after the junta announced annual Independence Day pardons. A huge crowd of relatives and the family members were gathered outside Yangon's insane prison to welcome released prisoners. Junta Chief Min Aung Hlaing pardoned 6,134 imprisoned Myanmar nationals as part of an annual amnesty to mark the country's Independence Day. Prominent model and former doctor Nang Mi San was also among those released on Sunday. She was arrested in 2022 on charge of harming culture and dignity. 52 foreign prisoners were released and will be deported to their respective countries. The military has arrested thousands of protesters and activists since its February 2021 coup. Updates on Switzerland fire tragedy now. Swiss police on Sunday said they have identified 16 more of those who died in a bar fire on New Year's Eve that killed 40 people, one of the worst disasters in recent Swiss history. Those now identified included 10 Swiss people, 2 Italians, 1 person with Italian Emirati citizenship, 1 Romanian, 1 person from France and 1 from Turkey. Police have now identified 24 of the people who died in the blaze in the mountain resort of Crans, Montana. In southern Switzerland, the blaze also left 119 people injured. And we are heading for a short break. You stay tuned to DT India. You're watching DT India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. And underscoring the growing emphasis on strengthening sports infrastructure and promoting athletic development, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 72nd National Volleyball Tournament via video conferencing. The inaugural ceremony is being held at Dr. Sampurnanand Sports Stadium, Varanasi. The tournament, being held from 4th to 11th of January, will witness participation from across India, with over 1,000 players competing as part of 58 teams representing various states and institutions. The tournament is expected to showcase high standards of competition, sportsmanship and talent in Indian volleyball. The tournament will further enhances the city's profile as a hub for major national events, aligning with its expanding role in hosting significant cultural and sporting initiatives. Addressing the event virtually, Prime Minister Narendra Modi applauded how India is moving forward as every citizen contributes with an India-first mindset, driving the nation's progress together.
वॉलीबॉल हमें सिखाती है कि कोई भी जीत अकेले नहीं होती। हमारी जीत हमारे कोऑर्डिनेशन, हमारे विश्वास और हमारी टीम की तत्परता पर निर्भर होती है। हर किसी की अपनी भूमिका है, अपनी जिम्मेदारी है और हम तभी सफल होते हैं जब हर कोई अपनी जिम्मेदारी को बखूबी निभाता है, गंभीरता से निभाता है। हमारा देश भी इसी तरह आगे बढ़ रहा है। स्वच्छता से डिजिटल पेमेंट तक और एक पेड़ मां के नाम से लेकर विकसित भारत के अभियान तक हम इसलिए प्रगति कर रहे हैं क्योंकि देश का हर एक जन, हर एक वर्ग, हर प्रांत एक सामूहिक चेतना से, इंडिया फर्स्ट की भावना से देश के लिए काम कर रहा है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also lauded how, through provisions such as the National Sports Governance Act and the Khelo Bharat Policy 2025, are transforming the sports ecosystem in India.
स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टर में भी सरकार ने बड़े रिफॉर्म्स किए हैं। नेशनल स्पोर्ट्स गवर्नेंस एक्ट और खेलो भारत नीति 2025, इस प्रकार के प्रावधानों से सही टैलेंट को अवसर मिलेगा, खेल संगठनों में ट्रांसपेरेंसी बढ़ेगी, देश के युवाओं को स्पोर्ट्स और एजुकेशन दोनों ही क्षेत्रों में एक साथ आगे बढ़ने का अवसर मिलेगा। साथियों, आज टॉप्स जैसे इनिशिएटिव से भारत में स्पोर्ट्स इकोसिस्टम ट्रांसफॉर्म हो रहा है। एक तरफ हम अच्छा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और फंडिंग मैकेनिज्म तैयार कर रहे हैं और इसके साथ ही नौजवानों को शानदार एक्सपोजर देने के लिए भी काम कर रहे हैं।
Moving on, southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh's aviation ambitions take a major leap forward. The upcoming Bhogapuram International Airport has successfully conducted its validation flight, marking a crucial step towards operational readiness. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya with this exclusive report from Bhogapuram Airport in Andhra Pradesh.
Taking a decisive step towards operational readiness, GMR Visakhapatnam International Airport Limited has successfully conducted a validation flight at the upcoming Bhogapuram Airport in Andhra Pradesh. The milestone validation flight, operated by an Air India aircraft, marks a major breakthrough in the journey of the state's new Greenfield International Airport. The flight was conducted in the presence of Union Minister for Civil Aviation Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu, senior officials from Ministry of Civil Aviation, Airports Authority of India, the Government of Andhra Pradesh and leadership from the GMR Group.
India is no longer seen as a strong domestic aviation market, but as a global aviation market. That is the vision our Prime Minister has set for us today, and we are going in the right path. And the number of airports that we are launching, every 45 to 50 days we are having one airport launch. Either it's a new airport or it is an airport where we have expanded the capacity. And in the last 18 months itself, we have done many. And the most prestigious of them has been the Navi Mumbai Airport, which has also been pending for long decades. We have completed that. And very soon we are going to open the Noida Jewar Airport also, which is on the verge of completion. And very soon we are going to see the Bhogapuram also launching its operations. So you are seeing how, with a vision to look into the future, we are creating the airports today.
The successful operation validates critical airside infrastructure, including the runway, navigational aids, operational systems, in the line with DGCA regulatory requirements. Speaking on the occasion, the Civil Aviation Minister said Bhogapuram Airport will emerge as a powerful growth engine, strengthening connectivity, boosting trade and tourism, generating large-scale employment. He added that Visakhapatnam is poised to become the economical capital of the East.
Gateway of the East. This is a vision our Chandrababu Naidu Garu has for this city. And you would see that in the last 18 months, the way Vizag has been projected internationally, and one biggest example that I want to put here is the $15 billion investment that Google is making. Google has always been situated in the Silicon Valley, and the first investment of this sort they are making outside of Silicon Valley. Not even in the United States, not even in the Americas or the cross-Atlantic. They have come all the way to India, they have come all the way to Andhra, they have come all the way to Visakhapatnam. So the idea of saying Gateway of the East, already people are supporting that idea and people are coming.
Developed under the PPP model on a DBFOT basis, that is design, build, finance, operate and transfer, the airport will initially handle 6 million passengers annually and expand in phases. The project also includes an aerotopolis, an aviation hub, and a state-of-the-art cargo terminal, positioning Bhogapuram Airport as a future-ready aviation gateway for Andhra Pradesh. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
On to sports news now. England put 211 runs on the board at the loss of 3 wickets on a rain-hit opening day of the 5th and final Ashes test at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Joe Root and Harry Brook blunted Australia's all-pace attack with an unbroken 154-run stand, rescuing England and putting them in a strong position at the end of the day, with just 45 overs were bowled due to rain and lightning. Batting after skipper Ben Stokes won the toss, and at a sold-out Sydney Cricket Ground, the pair guided the visitors to 211 for 3 before bad light forced the players off the field just before tea. England entered the match buoyed by a 4-wicket win inside 2 days in the previous test in Melbourne and were eager to carry forward the momentum. That victory ended a 15-year winless streak in Australia, but came too late to save the series, which hosts having already retained the urn through wins in Perth, Brisbane and Adelaide. At the Sydney Ashes Test, players and fans honoured heroes of the Bondi Beach shooting. A guard of honour was held before play with loud applause for Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who bravely stopped an attacker. The December 14 attack at a Hanukkah event killed 15 and injured many more. Security at the ground was tight with police patrols and special units, similar to measures at the Boxing Day test in Melbourne. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.